This pond, located right here in the middle of the University of Florida sorority row, is a prime example of how Gainesville's water pollution problem is going unnoticed. Because the cars were unlocked, it was easy to commit the crime, simply by pulling on the door handle, opening the door, and taking cash and other items from inside the vehicle. The kids can follow the colored squares around the library to visit classic Candyland locations like the Lollipop Forest and the Gumdrop Mountain.
Here at Carson Springs Wildlife Foundation, exotic animals like this red-ruffed lemur are well taken care of.
Executions are indefinitely on hold in Florida, while the House and Senate remain divided about how far changes should go in regards to the death penalty. Students interested in starting their own businesses could stop by the Gator Hatchery for advice, or they could ask a fellow classmate who majored in business and has now started her own.
The toughest part may be working backward, looking at the many cases on death row and revisiting any a judge overstepped a jury. But lawmakers also have the urgent job of fixing things moving forward, and there's a debate about how much Florida needs to mirror what's being done in other death penalty states.
A recent U.S. Supreme Court decision is forcing Florida to rework its system for imposing the death penalty. Juries will have to certify the aggravating factors, and it's likely that a simple majority vote will no longer be enough. Lawmakers are becoming more sensitive about how Florida law differs from other death penalty states.
Florida has way more exonerations than any other state in the country, that any other state that has the death penalty. So that just looks bad, for Florida.
Executions are indefinitely on hold in Florida, while the House and Senate remain divided about how far changes should go in regards to the death penalty.
The House has a bill that they're considering, the Senate has a bill that they're considering, and something will come out of it, one of the bills or a combination of the two bills.
The Senate proposal would require juries to unanimously decide that at least one aggravating factor exists. The House would allow it with just a 9-3 vote. Only 2 other states allow a decision that's not unanimous, but a UF law professor says that's not necessarily a problem.
Best case scenario for Florida would be a 9-3 death recommendation, plus a 9-3 finding of aggravating circumstances. Supreme Court has held, has long held that non-unanimous jury verdicts are constitutional. And and I see no constitutional problem with that.
Some senators say 9-3 would keep Florida an outlier because the vast majority of death penalty states require the jury to be united 12-0 on matters of life or death. Those senators feel if they don't change that now, the way the Supreme Court is headed, they'll have to redo it later. Reporting live from the newsroom, Aggie Buedo, WUFT News. Columbia County residents have recently returned to their cars to find valuables missing, but vehicle break-ins are easy to prevent as long as car doors are locked and there are no valuable items laying around in sight.
Columbia County Sheriff's deputies are advising everyone to double and triple check that their car doors are locked. 35 burglaries have taken place in the last week alone, and the number is expected to rise as summer approaches.
Especially during the summer, and I'm not blaming juveniles necessarily for it, but when school's out, we seem to have an increase in the amount of vehicle burglaries.
The Sheriff's Department has no current suspects, and detectives are not sure if this is the act of one person or a group of people. Every car that has been burglarized has been unlocked and has had items taken, including money.
Now you say, like, why would someone risk it over change? But if you hit 20 vehicles a night and you get a couple of bucks from a couple of them, I mean, that's kind of what they're looking for.
Because the cars were unlocked, it was easy to commit the crime, simply by pulling on the door handle, opening the door, and taking cash and other items from inside the vehicle. After analyzing a few videos, detectives have figured out that most burglaries have taken place between midnight and 4 or 5 a.m. The burglaries have occurred mostly in people's driveways, and no tools have been used to break into the vehicles in any of the reported burglaries so far. Investigators say it's up to residents to be alert and report any suspicious activity.
This is not a Columbia County issue. It's an issue for any community. Lock your stuff up. If you see something that's suspicious, by all means, call law enforcement and have them come out and check it out.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office and the Ocala Police Department have also reported multiple car burglaries in the past few days. The advice remains the same:
Lock your doors and hide your belongings.
So a lot of what I do is just trying to generate like content and followership.
Sajan Panikar and a handful of other University of Florida students have the opportunity of working at the Gator Hatchery, an incubator for student entrepreneurs interested in starting their own businesses. The hatchery, which opened back in January of 2015, offers these students a variety of resources to help them launch their ventures.
If a student has a business, we have lots of other resources, just from the very start of a business idea to the hatchery, which is really trying to grow your venture.
Nola Miyasaki, director of the hatchery, believes peer-to-peer networking is essential for starting a business. The 12 companies currently working at the hatchery provide support and ideas to one another.
And they all have insights, and they've all given me advice about what I'm trying to do that I never would have thought of myself.
Students interested in starting their own businesses could stop by the Gator Hatchery for advice, or they could ask a fellow classmate who majored in business and has now started her own.
Yeah, we just sold out of everything, so.
At only 22 years old, Elise Smith already owns a clothing line, Lagos Bikinis, which she created to inspire travel.
And I came up with Lagos because Lagos is like basically anything surrounded by water. And that's always what I grew up around, and so it was perfect.
The young designer hand makes every item, always aiming to create something original and unique.
I kind of just taught myself how to do it and started messing around, a lot of trial and error.
The business has taken off, and the entire spring collection has already been sold out, which only motivates Smith to keep pursuing her passion. Agustina Buedo, WUFT News. Hello, I'm Aggie Buedo in the WUFT newsroom. For Tuesday, November 8th, here's your news in 90. After months of anticipation and campaigning, the elections are finally here. Hello, I'm Aggie Buedo in the WUFT newsroom. For Tuesday, October 11th, here's your news in 90. Days after Hurricane Matthew, rescues continue today in parts of North Carolina.